Okay, we're going to get this meeting started in just a couple of minutes. As always, we're going to be talking with a group of realtors from around the country to be able to find out specifically what it is that they're doing in their work. And today we're taking a very different approach. We're actually talking about buyer broker objections and buyer objections, the type of thing that we get in front of all the time. Very, very frustrating stuff, right? You just don't know what necessarily to say, or sometimes it's a seller objection. I know a realtor. My cousin's a realtor. I have had this on the market. I'm waiting for the prices to change. I'm waiting for interest rates to go down. All of this should sound extremely familiar to you. We're going to get right into it in just a couple minutes, but not before we get the mob in here. Here we go. Okay, so we got all these great folks joining us now. Glad to see that Otter has a new thing. Bismarck made it. Yay. And Greg made it. Yay. Okay. Wow, we're gonna have a great time from here, guys.
Good
Okay.
morning.
Here we go. Getting more and more folks in here. Danya's in. That's great. Karen Knox is joining us. That's fantastic. Good morning, Julie. Wow. Okay. You see, Julie said good
It's
morning first. That's why she's my favorite.
it's birthday week.
Yes, it is my birth week, and I like chocolate layer cake, but don't send me one, Greg. It's okay. My doctor was prescribed me Manjaro instead. So that's it's chocolate cake, Manjaro, chocolate cake, Manjaro. Manjaro is kind of winning right now. I wish it
How are
wasn't.
you feeling?
I'm sick.
I
I'm
know
sick. I owe it to everybody here to put my best foot forward, and I shall. But no, it's all in there. And it is coming on the heels of becoming 58 years old, which I said to myself, I just can't believe. That's like when I was a kid, that was so old, right?
you're
Okay.
still a pup.
Okay.
Still a pup.
Okay. I'll take that. I'll take that. Okay. Eva, great. Brenda, good to see you. Dirk in Denver. That's fantastic. Okay. We're getting more and more folks coming in. And I'm Zep bound. Okay, I didn't mean to get this onto a whole diet thing. If anybody gets to know me for a while, you'll know that my my weight has been like a very central thing in my career and my life. It's been a bit problematic, but okay. So aside from being a little bit under the weather, I think we still should have a pretty good time today. We are going to be talking about objections, and I think that while most of my meetings, all of the meetings have a lot of AI in it, and this one will be the same. We're going to back up just a little bit and take a look at something that from now till the end of time, provided that you're human, you're going to still get objections. Whether it's going to be, uh, my cousin's a broker, or, um, we're waiting for interest rates to go down. Let me just throw this out to some of you now. Right now, just take a minute. I'm going to be silent and get out a pen or type or whatever means of doing this. And I want you to write out your objections. I want you to give me like one, two, three, whatever common objections you get. I'm going to give you about 30 seconds here, and then I'm going to ask you to put into the chat. Give it some thought. And the only bad answer is the one that goes unsaid. So I'm not going to mock anyone for their answer here. We might discover something unusual. Give me another minute. Greg doesn't want to. Greg, you know what? Just you be good.
That's my, no, that's my objection.
Oh, I don't want to. Okay. That's funny. Okay. Okay. So great. So, now that you guys do this, Greg said, I don't want to. Greg, I'm sorry, I misinterpreted that. Donna said, I'm just looking. Donna, can I pick on you for a second? Donna, can you unmute just for a second? Maybe?
Yes,
Okay.
you can pick on me.
Thank you, Donna. Donna, tell everyone who you are and where you are.
I'm Donna Huth with Florida Homes Realty and Mortgage in Okeechobee, Florida.
Okeechobee, gotta love it. So, I like that. I'm just looking. How does that, warm us up? Give us the scenario, especially now that everyone needs to sign a buyer broker agreement.
Well, that's it. I live in a 55 plus community,
Good.
and most of my buyers are cash.
Hmm.
And so now that I'm telling them that we need to get a buyer broker agreement when I show them homes, they're like, "Well, I'm just looking. I don't want to commit myself." And I'm like, "Well, this is a new policy that we have to follow." And I give them all the scenario. And then if they completely, just then I try to do them with a showing agreement instead of a buyer broker.
Sure,
But the our senior folks that are used to just getting their way, and I'm a senior myself, so they just most of them are on the fence and they're just looking.
sure. So in this instance, it's very interesting because I think all of us have it burned into our brain August 17th, 2024, when the world changed, the floodgates opened. We now have to get all the signature. It sounds like the signature is almost an advantage to you, Donna, in one sense. I mean, am I reading that wrong?
Um, no, because I finally get them to like if they keep wanting to look, I say, look, we really need this. And and then once I do get them signed in, then they call me. But again, a lot of them are just looking. They don't want to get off their cash buyers and they want the perfect place. And so that's
Yeah.
my biggest objection.
Okay. So good. We've got that. We're gonna note that here. Um, Greg, I don't want to. What do you mean by I don't want to? You got to unmute. You still got to unmute.
Sorry, I thought I had it unmuted.
No worries.
Um, I, what do I mean by I don't want to? The perfect example was just given. I don't want to sign that showing agreement.
Okay. And what are some of the ways that you've overcome? I don't want to sign and then I want everyone else to chime in to help Greg here or to help all of us.
Um, I don't want to show you houses.
Okay, good. Well,
No,
listen, if you've got that much independence, that's fantastic. I know a lot of people are so dying for business, they're willing to break the rules for it. But
no, I don't break the rules, but I will explain to them how it's in to their advantage, to their best interest to actually sign the agreement because it binds me to fiduciary responsibilities. And we can make it for one day or we can make it for one house, but we have to do it. It's the policy.
good.
It's not the law, but it's the policy. And it's to your advantage.
Good. I can't stand it. I've got somebody now. We've got a small listing. A guy wants to see it. I don't understand why every other broker I spoke to doesn't have me sign. And I'm like, do me a favor, report them to the Realtors Association. Because if I'm willing to follow the rule and I'm being screwed, it's kind of like the athletes that ride the Tour de France. If everyone's doping and I'm the honest guy working out, I'm losing out, aren't I? Right? Because I'm
Absolutely.
following the rules. So I'm brutal about it. I say report the realtor because we just don't break the rules. I mean, that might resonate with you, it might not, but I just don't do it. I don't break the rules. So, but it still brings up the bigger question, how we as a category get people to sign this doc because it's A, needed, and B, um, uh, you know, as we discovered with Donna, a qualifier. It definitely shows if somebody's willing to sign off on it, isn't it safe to say that they're more likely going to be a little bit more serious about this? Donna's got a bunch of looky-loos who may or may not buy, and again, not all of Donna's business are looky-loos, but in this case, a lot of them are looky-loos. So to actually get them to sign is a real big thing. Let me just see. Why do I need to sign this? I don't have to sign anything from my home state. Now, Bismarck, can you please unmute yourself? That sounds very interesting here. I don't need to sign anything from my home state. What do you mean by that?
Right. So, a lot of times you have buyers from, out of state, and that's some of the wording that I've heard some of my buyers use in time past. That I never really had to sign this with my broker when I was in my home state, whether it be in New Jersey or New York. And I said, well, this is really a national, thing. It's not just for Florida. It's really everywhere.
Sure.
So that's something that I've come across.
The
Okay.
response is, I mean, I
John,
guess I was
what
gonna
did
say the
you?
response is, when's the last time you bought a house?
Ah,
Good
How about
one.
that?
yeah. Not only that, but what I haven't heard you guys say is playing up the fact that you are one that follows the rules. You are one, the person that follows the rules isn't going to screw you, right? Close, maybe, kind of, sort of.
I mean, the buyer agency agreement is in there for the consumer's protection. You have to remind people that this is the authority above us, all making sure that the consumer is not wronged in this situation and,
Okay,
is informed is probably the better way to articulate it.
sure. So, so great, John. Just why don't you tell everyone who you are and where you are?
So my name is John Bainton, and I am a Compass agent in Connecticut,
Great,
more Fairfield County. But yeah, so I've been involved with the group with Edmund for I don't know over 10 years or so.
love having you there, John.
Yeah.
Um, and give us some of the other ways that you overcome this. By the way, as everyone knows, this is being recorded, and we're going to send a transcript out. So all of you, because these answers are going to be your answers.
So I have a different answer, but since it's being recorded, I mean, just an honest practicality. I mean, we all try to follow the rules. I feel like we have to make our own judgments of when it's most important to follow the rules, and you have to. We all know the rules. I don't think they're always followed, especially in my market. I feel like a lot of times things happen really quickly, and you end up doing all the signing with all the offer documents at once, which is not necessarily the right, order of events.
Mhm.
But it's not like we've been wronging ourselves for a long time. Like I feel like if you are really getting started shopping with a client and you're educating a client and you're going to be spending the next several months with a client, that is absolutely when you have to do this to protect both yourself and them. Because, we have no control over when they go to an open house. And if there's no buyer agency agreement signed, the first thing a very aggressive listing agent might say at an open house is, well, do you have a buyer agency agreement? I'd love to help you get into this house, right? So if you don't have anything signed, there's no reason for them to really pick up the phone and call you is just the reality that we all thought, come to grips with. And if you do have the buyer agency agreement, then they'll they feel obligated to call you. And by the way, a good listing agent would probably advise them that, hey, you should reach out to your agent, right? But not everyone really behaves well in this market. So yeah, I feel like you have to protect yourself because there's lots of buyers that will just jump ship because when it all comes down to it, their uncle's best friend is a real estate agent and he's the best one in the market, right? So it's like you need to make sure you're protected against that.
Which brings me back to Eva here. I'm reading this here. I'm staying with my friend. I have so many realtors in my family. Oh boy, Eva, I'm so glad you brought that up. Eva, can you unmute yourself a second? Gotta push the button. Guys, try and familiarize yourselves where these buttons are so we could get right on with the meeting. I can't really help you here. You're almost
Just while
there.
she's unmuted, and one of the things I always do with a friend sometimes is I have a Compass app, which is really handy, and I can look up any realtor in a matter of like 15 seconds if I have their
Mhm.
name, and I can see the activity of that agent, and I can
Mhm.
see how many listings they've had, how many purchases they've had, the price points, the areas that they cover, and I can immediately say, like this is public information, but it's not necessarily accessible to you as the buyer. You should know that your friend has sold one house in the last 2 years before you go and think you're going to navigate this really complex market. Maybe it's better to work with someone, not saying it has to be me, but someone that's been a little bit more fluent in this market and actually has, maybe a dozen or 15 sales in the last, year or two.
Sure. And by the way, it brings me to a point, and Eva, keep yourself unmuted because I'm going to get you in a second. If someone who knows the statistic on this, if a buyer calls up Zillow off an advertisement and they get the broker to call them because they think that that's the broker representing the property, or how many properties has that broker sold in their career? Anyone want to have a guess? Okay, the answer is 50% have sold one or fewer homes in their career. That's a pretty interesting stat. Look it up. Okay? I think it's an important one for you guys to know because while you can't disparage anyone, I don't have a problem with truth. I don't have a problem with actually getting that out there. If someone gets a deal right now, if somebody calls up Zillow, they have the highest probability of dealing with someone who does not have the kind of experience that I would want representing me. Okay, so Eva, you're staying with your friend. How do you overcome that, Eva?
I haven't.
Okay, well, great. How do you think you
But
could? So we'll throw this out to all of you. Oh, Eva, thank you so much. I'm staying with my friend. Our kids grew up together and we know each other so well, and it's going to hurt my social life if I don't buy a property from her or him or whoever. Is that the kind of thing?
yeah, actually, those three cases were like that. And one of them says, "Oh, I have so many I mean, I have my uncle, my parent, my cousin, whatever." And then I said, "Well, listen, if you ever get in that situation that you don't know who are you gonna give it to because you're so many in the family, maybe you wanna get somebody neutral." And don't get mad with anybody in the family because you did go with your cousin instead of your uncle, things like that. So maybe then
The very premise devalues us. I'll get you in a second, Greg. The very premise devalues us. My late friend David, God rest his soul, died of a brain tumor. If there was a cousin in his family that was a brain surgeon, would he have wanted to go with the cousin or would he have wanted to go with the best damn brain surgeon in the world? Okay? Let's learn not to devalue ourselves because I think that that's something that as a category, by even entertaining it, so we need to overcome. I mean, that's the first stop. How else would you overcome it? Greg, did you have a comment for Eva? If not, we'll get to you in a second. Or
Yeah, just overcoming that objection.
okay, tell us.
So, I would ask the question, do you feel comfortable with your cousin or your friend or as your employee? Because so many relationships are ruined when a friend hires a friend to help them in a real estate transaction. At the end of the day, would you be comfortable firing your cousin because they weren't performing as you expected them to
Ah, best answer of the day so far.
so
What
far?
do what do you think of that, Eva?
yeah, I like
Mhm.
that.
Maybe. Okay.
that.
6, 7. Trying to fit in. Okay. So Greg, that was a good answer. I like that. Anyone else that wants to take this on before I get on to a couple
And
of the other?
two things.
Okay, Hassan, please tell everyone who you are and where you are.
Hassan Bazi, Realtor, Southeast Michigan. Like to
Great.
Eva's point about someone wanting to use about it would hurt their social life if they didn't use their friend or their relative. I mean, the response to that is what would happen to your relationship if things didn't work out the way you wanted with, the the business dealing. And two, other thing would be, are you hiring your friend or your relative out of a sense of loyalty or because you think you're confident that they're the best person and a professional to get the job done?
Sure. All this comes down to dollars and cents, guys.
Yeah, yeah,
This
yeah.
is for most of our business. Now, some of us have clients that are worth endless amounts of money, and that might be a little bit different. But for 99% of the deals out there, this is a big bloody transaction. This is a big portion of their money. Okay? And it amazes me how strong social constructs are that it keeps us doing this. Let me ask all of you this. Has anyone ever role played with an AI? Greg has. Hassan has. I have. Okay, Eitan has. For those of the rest are probably lying. What I want you to do is do exactly that. You're doing this in the privacy of your own home, and you could make the AI as difficult or as easy as you want. And what you'll get from it is valuable experience in a sandbox. In other words, in an area where no one's going to hurt you. So I'm going to try that in a few minutes, but I just want to show you. And of course, there's prompts that all of you could probably figure out, but some of them are in the workbook that Aton keeps sending out to all of you. Let me just see who else we got here. There's great stuff, guys. Let me just see. Julie, if you could unmute yourself. We just have a couple minutes here that I'm going to stick on this. International buyers asking for 50% of your 50% of your compensation. Ugh, I don't like your international buyers.
I don't either.
International, define where? Is this Southeast Asia, Europe?
About 95% of my clients, for whatever reason, are either Taiwanese, Hong Kongese, or Chinese. And this particular buyer comes from Taiwan,
Mhm.
has moved to the US. I have
Mhm.
worked my tail off for them, building their portfolio for 10 years.
Okay.
And they, as I explained in my comment, they got a great idea that if she got her real estate license, and she has trouble even filling in a date, right? Let alone understanding anything basic. And what she puts me through, no commercial agent would tolerate, right? But I'm like a filter, translating her to the world, right? And so she sent me a text after I had spent a week as a blessing to her to do a cost seg on 5 of her properties, saving her 250,000 in
Okay,
taxes.
let's keep it going, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so my reward was she sent me a text saying that if I wanted to work with them in the future, I would be paying them 50% of my compensation.
Okay, and what did you say?
Well, as I kind of indicated, I asked, I probed a little bit to see where it was going from, and obviously my answer was no.
Okay.
And because she asks basically for me to complete the work of 8 highly paid professionals at no additional charge. And I explained to her acting as her advisory is something where I should be paid actually an acquisition fee and offered a percentage of the deal. And here she's getting all this other value, and she literally could not transact and do her DD without me
Okay,
because
so,
we're
so
doing.
the answer is you just fire the client.
Well, no. Actually, I saved the client. We're closing a Bojangles in a few days.
Great.
And I was able to so far save it. But essentially, I explained to them, I said, where's this coming from? And she said, well, we have DD costs that need to be offset. And I said, well, that's why with a syndication, you should structure it so you get an acquisition fee to offset those costs.
Okay,
Any investor would understand.
okay. Sorry, I don't want to get too far into the details because we have a lot of people in the meeting, but I do appreciate the objection and overcoming it. The fact that you overcame it, I think that's fantastic stuff. Again, I'm trying to keep pace of the meeting
The,
here.
the takeaway here is she articulated her value, right?
Yes.
That is a takeaway, and I think that's really important. If any sound business person understands value if you can articulate it.
Yeah. And there's some people that consistently win.
And if they don't understand it and they don't see your value, you probably should fire them.
Yeah.
And I have a little rule, and I know I'm being recorded, but I just feel like the term assholes work with assholes is a really
Mhm.
good term in this business.
Don't worry about that being. Oh my God, if cursing was a problem, I'd be crucified. Fuck,
No,
man.
but it's so true. Like your like internet lead that is probably browsing and probably contacts, 30 real estate agents over a 12-month period is probably not going to be a very loyal customer.
Yeah.
And you should view them as a customer, not a client,
I,
right?
I, I saw Levette's hand up a minute ago. I don't know if Levette's still here. Let me just see. Levette, you want to unmute?
Yeah, I was just going to chime in on the
Please.
objection. My agent is my friend or family member when we were on that. So I don't want to hold us up, but that's it.
Okay. That was it. Yeah,
Yeah.
look, again, friendship is friendship, business is business. And, one of the things that I like to shine a light on is just what that person's track record was. Now, again, check with legal. there are some very serious Realtor Association rules about disparaging another realtor. I've always been of the belief that truth is the final pillar, that if in fact you're able to point something out that I was able to do actually more than this other guy, um, or pointing out where the downsides could actually go. What about actually limiting the situation as well? Some people say, well, I want to list with my nephew. Maybe you could get a non-exclusive deal for a month. Has anyone ever tried that? So before you go to market with Joe, maybe you could give it to me for just like a month or something. You know, Dirk, if you could unmute in a minute, I'm going to pick on you for a second. But has anyone ever tried kind of the trial closing there or the trial movement? Let me just see a show of hands. Okay, Livette, go ahead.
So I'm sorry, I didn't have that situation, but a couple times I've suggested when I know that it was a really close relationship, what I offered was a referral fee
What,
to
what,
their friend, or family member. I would say, hey, if you list with me, I know you're trying to be supportive of, your family member or your friend. What I will do, because I could tell that they really didn't want to go with them because they knew that they were inexperienced. They really wanted to go with me. So I would say, hey, I'll offer them, like a 20% referral fee. And I've gotten a listing like that before.
okay. Does that resonate with anybody? Pay them off? I don't know where I stand on that.
I
I know
mean,
it's because again, it goes back to money being that somehow I feel as though I feel cheap. I feel dirty. I feel used. I don't want to feel that way. I want to feel as though, in no other business, your lawyer, your doctor, your whatever it might be, do you have to justify yourself in the same way? And I think that a lot of you need some plastic surgery on your head. I think a lot of you need to get your brains intact here to understand that, if done properly, we're instrumental. I mean, there's some people that, we've got a buyer and seller that we've worked with. If it wasn't for my team, they would be in financial straits. They would be having a major problem. This was my big brag in 2025. I feel that was, I made a lot more money from other deals, but that was something that I could hold my head up high and I say, that is why I'm a realtor. I made a huge difference for them right now. This deal that we're closing right now, we've got somebody who kind of slipped into the additional terms. Seller will pay the $3,000 fee to the HOA for the buyer, kind of being a little sneaky there. Here's my offer. And we said, no. Why? Because we saw it. The seller would have done it. They would have gone for it, but we got that through. Why? Because we're earning a living here. And I think that all of that is really important. Other examples. Who's got some other stuff before we get into some AI magic with all of this? Because everyone likes AI magic. Dirk, anything? Dirk, you're very sunburned.
Yeah, we decided to open up the boat yesterday on the reservoir.
A
cloudy day got me.
Okay. Well, objections. Nobody objects to Dirk. First of all, Dirk, tell everyone a little bit about you.
My name's Dirk in Denver. I've been in real estate for shy of 20 years, co-owner of my real estate brokerage, and enjoying the group here.
Good. So what any objections you get?
I get objections all the time, and I think the biggest challenge is trying to demonstrate my knowledge and ability up front without giving everything away before they're willing to sign an agreement.
Okay. Have you or anyone here heard of the term BATNA? BATNA.
Not familiar, no.
Okay. If you ever want to have a little fun, look it up on AI or Google. It's called the best alternative to a negotiated agreement. I did a 4-day course at Harvard. Was one of those certificate programs. Phenomenal professors. I mean, professors that are really big. It was the Harvard negotiation project, and the thing that they had spoken about there was the best alternative to a negotiated agreement. If you go in to any particular deal with what, high, medium, and low, what is the most important thing to get out of this? Well, if it's a listing agreement, obviously listing. But what's the second and third thing? A lot of you forget that when somebody lists the home, they've got to buy a home somewhere. Oh, Ed, they're moving out of state. Great. You could talk to me. I'll get a realtor for you anywhere in the world. Okay? And I don't want your commission for it. You could go do a deal with them and go knock yourself out. Just, I think we forget about the size of the deal. So learn about the BATNA. What is the best alternative to a negotiated agreement? First, it's actually getting the deal. Second, it might be getting the referral. Third, it might be getting the people that they know who are in their life. In other words, there's so many different layers of opportunity that actually comes from this. And if you actually take the time to write it out, if there's anything that you could take from this or any one of my meetings is planning. If you take the time to write it out and then think through how you're going to respond, that's why I think working with the AI is so important because it's just safe. You shouldn't be embarrassed in front of your AI. I mean, today, God knows how people are. I mean, maybe you will be, but I hope not. You know, and more I see it being accepted. There was something that was just announced about how isolated people are. And I think we need to understand that. 45% of men 18 to 25 have never asked a woman out on a date in person. Doesn't that scare the daylights out of you? 45% of men 18 to 25 have never asked a woman on a date. And how that actually translates into this, I get, you know, they're afraid of rejection. Rejection, I think that was like an everyday occurrence. You know, whatever. I was genuinely shocked if a woman didn't want to have dinner with me. You know, I'm not saying sleep with me. Would have been nice. But still, what I'm saying is that, you know, failure is an important part, an important aspect to all of this. And I don't want all of you in the business world slipping into that, thinking, okay, we're somehow going to just isolate ourselves. Use the tools for what they're worth, and that is training yourselves to be able to get better and to fortify yourselves against this. Who's got some prompts or who's got some stuff? Like Aton, John, Kenny, Donna, who is this resonating with? I want to be able to get some commentary. You guys are making me work for it today. I like that. Okay. We're going to go on with a few more. Going out of here. Okay, yeah. Who's had the going away? We'll talk about it some other time. We're going to, you know, I'll readdress this after I'm less busy. You know, we're very, very busy right now. Let's talk at the end of the summer. Anyone hear that one? Okay. Aton's all excited about that.
I heard that today.
Okay. So great. We're busy till the end of the summer. Okay. Maybe they are busy till the end of the summer. On the other hand, maybe they're just finding a good way to get out. Somebody called me back the other day, and I guess I gave him that excuse. And I spoke to him. He said, "You said for me to call you in a couple months." I said, "Actually, I know exactly what I said. I didn't say to call you in a couple months. I said I might consider it in a couple months, but the reality is I should have been more honest with you. The answer should have just been no. I should have just said no to save both of our times." "Well, let me tell you about this." I'm like, "Okay, you know, I'm in sales as well, man. God bless you. I want you to go and do well, but I'm just not going to deal with this call right now." And they kept talking, and at that point I hung up. Livette, please unmute yourself and bestow us with your phenomenal knowledge. I want to hear this here.
So when I have gotten that objection, and what I typically will say is, what are you hoping will be different later? I'll ask them that question, and I'll let them answer, and I'll say something like, "Oh, okay, that's fair. Sometimes waiting doesn't really change the outcome, just the timing. Would it be helpful to know what the opportunity looks like now so you can make that decision with full clarity?"
Good.
Yeah.
Change the paradigm.
Mm-hmm.
Change the paradigm. You know, does no always mean no? It might mean not now. It might mean no to what you've actually proposed today. So it could very well be that, okay, I'm not going to, no, you know, we're too busy. We can't deal with it right now. Great. Will you be less busy for something else? I get it. We can't do the whole deal right now. Maybe there's something else that we could do between now and then. Are you following that? Because if you're able to keep the deal alive and keep going, you're still in the game. Does anyone know when you actually get rejected, one of the best things to do is to get something on the calendar? Why do so many salespeople want to get you on the calendar for next week? Anyone want to have a guess?
Time kills deals.
Time kills deals because you've committed to something. So I want you to stop and think that you've actually committed that John, John, can we meet next week? John, could you get at your calendar? I want to meet with you next week.
Sorry, I'm very busy the rest of the summer.
Fuck
It's summertime.
you, John. Anyway, yeah. But I think you get the point that if you could get the commitment to the next level, that's what we're always trying to do. It's not about winning every single deal. It would be great if you could. I'd love for you to win every single deal, but I'd like you to win to the next moment and to be able to say that we're heightening the probability of success on a consistent basis. So that's real important. I'm going through this here. Who else? Again, I'm taking a deep dive on objections today because it's something that we deal with each and every single day. When you get to the listing appointment, who has a listing appointment coming up? Who's got a listing appointment coming up? Nobody wants to admit it. Nobody wants me to pick on them. Okay. Oh, Bismarck, great. You've got a listing appointment coming up. So I just made that up, but fine. Bismarck, you got a listing appointment coming up. You're coming into the listing appointment and you give the world's greatest presentation. You've given them absolutely everything they want. And Brenda, what does somebody say to Bismarck when they're rejecting him? That they just Brenda, say something like, "Okay, let me think about it."
We're interviewing other realtors as
Great.
well.
Bismarck, you going to put up with that?
No,
Okay. Well, it's going to take more than no.
of course.
Let's get you going.
Yeah.
Poor Bismarck. He didn't know I
So
was going to pick on him. I promise that won't hurt you too much.
that's all right. Yes, so I do understand that you would like to interview other realtors in the area. However, one of the things I would like to let you know is the fact that my expertise in the community after having served, the community for almost 15 years comes with a lot of expertise that most agents who are beyond these boundaries do not know. When it comes down to your schools, and how great the schools are and other areas of interest to families mostly coming in from other states, these are things that people necessarily do not know about. Some agents don't know about. And I'm here to help you to ensure that you maximize your dollars. I also do have a lot of market buyers that I can bring on the table to help you sell as soon as possible.
Okay. So two things to think about, and this was the setup that I probably should have said before. A, if you think that there's a multiple interview process going on, by the way, 85% of all listings tend to go to the first broker that gets through the door. So that's a Realtor Association statistic. So you have an unfair advantage there. But if in fact they claim that they're interviewing other people, respectfully find out if you could be the last one interviewed. The one that gets interviewed last tends to be the one that actually gets to be the one to be the broker. So that's one thing to think about. That's the setup prior to that. So that's just one thought for you. Two, when you're actually meeting with the seller or buyer or whoever it might be, to fully understand what it is that they're waiting for on the next broker is really, really important. It really is. If they've actually said, if they're saying that they're going to meet with someone else, it's good as gone. Maybe it'll go to you, but I could tell you that every time that we've gone into a meeting like that, it's never worked out.
Yeah.
So you might as well torpedo yourself. You might as well just go for it. Okay, Kenny's all excited by this. Kenny, tell everyone who you are and where you are, very briefly.
Kenny Bellini, just outside LA, been a realtor for like forever here. But there's a saying that I've heard that it's firstborn, second marriage, and third realtor. So be the third realtor in the door. So that's one thing. And also, I've put myself in transactions, a client with a mother's home in Pennsylvania, and I said they wanted my consulting, and the same thing happened in Texas. I said, well, I can't give you advice unless I'm part of the transaction. So got them to pay me a referral fee just so I could give them advice. I've gotten, referral fees twice that way, because technically we can't step on another agent's toes unless we're part of the transaction. So
sure. Okay. So there's that. Who else? Who else? We've got situations where it's coming up. You're in the meeting. The seller, you're ready to get them to sign. What could actually make them sign at that moment? What will remove the friction? Give it some thought, guys. It's a hard one, I know. And I'm deliberately kind of slowing it down here because I want you to really reflect on that. Because we've run into it.
Maybe that's a conversation to have during the actual listing presentation and incorporate that and try to get that out of the seller. You know what I mean? So you have that knowledge, kind of, you're getting that knowledge and then you already know how to address it.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure. Great stuff. I think also just having, if you guys would spend a little bit more time preparing for your listing agreements, I think you could be far better off. Certainly if you don't look great when you go in, you're already at a disadvantage. So A, look great, and B, be able to just have, I mean, is the contract ready? Are all your materials ready? What is the value add that you're bringing to the table? My team, we have a deep cleaning service come in and clean the house. We make a floor plan. A lot of realtors don't. Take a look at your MLS. Take a look at how many realtors don't make a floor plan. Guys, there's no excuse. You could buy the app. You can make your own damn floor plans. How many of the listings that you see out there don't have floor plans? Throw a cow at those fuckers. Okay, I'm serious. Throw a cow at them. How dare you not have a floor plan? Are you kidding me? My wife, she said she doesn't even need to look at a house. All she wants to do is look at a floor plan before she sees a house. Of course, you get the floor plan. How many people are doing virtual staging? How many people are going to do brokers opens if they're allowed? How many people are going to advertise and pay to actually get out there? What are aside from your good looks, and we are a very good looking bunch, aside from the good looks, what are the tools that you're using to be able to get them to say yes? Now, if this is like affecting you and if you're saying, oh God, I don't do any of that stuff, don't beat yourself up. I'm not a big fan of regret. I like to look forward, not backwards. I'm a big fan of saying strategy and structure is going to be what will win over glitz and nonsense. So if you could get past that, you're going to be far better off than most. So if you were expecting something in this meeting to be like just pure objectives, Punch and Judith going back and forth, really dealing with the objections to me is being able to be prepared in advance. You know what the objections are. You know that somebody's got a cousin that's a realtor. You know that somebody's going to want to wait till the end of the summer. You know that somebody wants to meet 5 different realtors right now. The question becomes, what can you do to get over that objection? Somebody right now, open up ChatGPT, maybe John, or maybe Kenny, or maybe Dana, and take one of these objections and just say to them, give me 5 answers to the objection. I'm a realtor and I had a listing appointment with someone. I want to do a post-mortem on this. Post-mortem meaning, what happened after the body's dead here. But I want to do a post-mortem. The person said to me that their cousin is a realtor and they want to interview that person first. And time passed and I lost the deal. What could I have done in the meeting to have gotten that deal? What could I have done in that meeting? Give me your top 5 answers. Okay, who's going to take this on for me right now?
I'm working on it.
Okay, so whoever gets the answer first, please share it with me. And if that's not worth the $20 a month, I don't know what is, by the way. You got the answers right there.
All right, so
let's hear it.
They're long responses, but
paraphrase.
I just wrote, hi, I'm a realtor. Please give me 5 responses to a client that says in an interview that their cousin is a realtor and they want to work with them. Right, so that's pretty much the same question.
But it's fine.
So these are all responses. I completely understand real estate is personal and many people naturally start with family or friends. What I would encourage you to do is to make sure you choose the person who gives you the highest level of service, communication, and strategy for your specific situation. Even if that ends up being your cousin, I'm happy to offer guidance along the way. Pretty much everything we all kind of chimed in on.
Okay, so put one more condition on that, John. Say, but I want to be a little bit more pushy and I want to find out a way to get them to say yes now.
Yeah, because there are 4 more answers.
Okay, let's hear it.
Do you want to hear the other 4 before we
I want to
go
hear it briefly. I'm trying to move everyone along here. So yeah.
Yeah. The second one is that makes total sense. One thing I've learned is that sometimes family relationships work great in real estate, and sometimes clients prefer to keep business separate from family. My goal today is to simply to show you how I work so you can make the best decision for yourself. Third response, I respect that. You should absolutely talk with your cousin. At the same time, interviewing multiple agents is smart. Different agents bring different strengths, networks, negotiation, style, and market expertise. I'd love the opportunity to show you what working directly with me would look like. The fourth one is I appreciate you being upfront about that. The biggest thing I'd ask is who you feel most confident will advocate for you, communicate consistently, and execute at a high level from start to finish. That's usually what ends up mattering the most once the process begins. And then the fifth response is family referrals are common, and I never take offense to that. What I can promise is that if we work together, you'll work directly with me throughout the entire process. My business is built on responsiveness, market knowledge, and getting deals across the finish line. Is that valuable to you? And if so, I'd love to earn your opportunity to work with you.
Okay. All this great, but the only thing I don't like about it was there was no hook.
No, there's no
No,
hook.
there was no asking, and I think it just needs to be prompted a little bit differently. I'm trying to push all of you out of your comfort zone. All of you are very nice. Right now, Google Ming the Merciless from Flash Gordon. Anybody watch Flash Gordon? I watched Flash Gordon. Aton saw Flash Gordon. Anyway, hopefully most of you. Flash Gordon, Ming the Merciless. He's exactly as he sounds. He was Ming and he was merciless. Horrible guy. So, that was Kenny's all excited here. Go ahead.
When the market was like this years ago, when the market was like this, what we would do is call what we call executive review and have a bunch of agents come in to look at the pricing. But there's an agent here in Santa Monica that would do it. She'd ask the seller, who are you going to talk to? And she'd get the names of who you're going to talk to and tell them, well, I'll bring them in for you. And she'd bring me and a few other people in that were like the competition and get all of our opinions. So she was trying to neutralize it that way. And her name is Kate Bransfield, by the way. But
She was trying to explain it again.
basically, she would ask the seller, what other agents do you plan on speaking to? And she would get the names and say, well, I'll give them a call and invite them over. So she would try to neutralize it by saying, I'll get a few of those agents over in a group and we'll do what we call an executive review. And then she tried to neutralize that all the other agents would get it. So she was trying to get it and neutralize the competition.
So like a presidential debate?
Yeah, kind of like a group. Yeah. So we'd write down what we thought and everything, and she'd take our notes and go, run with them. So that was one way she tried to do that, to neutralize. So if, find out who they're going to talk to, ask them what agents are going to talk to.
So suggest to the seller that they meet with all the agents at one time.
Yeah. And you run the show.
Honestly, one of the best ideas I've ever heard.
Yeah,
I think it's a great idea. I mean, of course, but I know me. I win in environments like that. Some of you don't, and there's nothing wrong with it. To me, I know I could win a debate, and I know that I could look better than the other people there. But Kenny, I'm glad you came today. I'm glad you mentioned that. And
the seller's not even there. We just go look at the house and stuff, and everybody fills out a form and makes notes on it and gives it to the person who's running the executive review, because we think she's got the listing already in some cases, right? And she really doesn't.
Okay, then I didn't understand. What I was saying was to actually suggest to the seller, why don't you have an open interview? Again, it sounds a little crazy. And again, I'm trying to let it marinate a little bit. Dirk, what does this sound like to you? And it sounds, Dirk's not happy. He's getting redder and redder by the second here.
They haven't done it for years, guys. So I don't know how it is anymore.
Dirk?
No, I like it. It'd be a nice way to get a little warfare going on. I don't know if I really want a client that's going to create a hornet's nest before we even get off the starting line.
Well, the seller is not there. You go and see the house and you invite like 3 different agents. You don't have to get a crowd, basically one from each company or something that you think that they know they said we're going to be talking to these guys or not, and bring, and just know you got competition and invite your own competition and see if you could, just diffuse the situation before the other agents even get in the door. So
Sure.
Okay. Look, you know, again, the idea behind a mastermind is exactly that. We're trying to come up with what your next step is going to be. And I think, if anything, it gives you food for thought. If you guys could then borrow from those ideas, I'm just pulling up some stuff here. If you guys can borrow from those ideas, then more power to you. But let me just tell you this: next Wednesday, I want everyone to be aware. Attention is the new commission. Anybody do Instagram Reels? It's going to be fun. Instagram Reels. So we're going to be talking all about that, all about the tools that people are using to make Instagram Reels. Once upon a time, you had to have a huge following. Today, it's really not the case. It's really all about the content that people get. The Reels are huge. They really are. And what we're going to talk about is the tools that you need to start doing it, the scripts and how to script it out. If you are gregarious and want to put yourself on video, that's great. If you're a little bit shyer and you want to have a faceless video or get some type of AI to do it, we could do that as well. So that's going to be next Wednesday, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We've got other meetings coming up as well that we're going to be laying out for all of you and getting the June agenda out to everybody. But get really psyched for it. Coaching clients, if we are not on the schedule, please, 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 I need to get you on the schedule to make sure. I believe all of you are, but we do need to meet one-on-one to be able to figure out what your next move is. And I just want to make sure that in the process, I don't get booked up. So, you know, there are a bunch of you that I'm working with now quite a bit, and I want to make sure that that is all locked in. Okay, wants, needs, and brags. It was a challenge, this one. I made you guys think a little bit more than what we normally do. We could certainly spend a little time at the end looking at some of the new AI tricks. If you guys want to stay at the end, I've got a bunch of them that have come out. But wants, needs, and brags. Now's the time in the meeting to talk about what you want, what you need, and what you'd like to brag about. I don't have so much of a brag. I got a bunch of closings coming up, and I've got a horrible flu that I hope will end soon. So that's not a brag. That's more of a wish. But John, go ahead.
Well, I have a closing today, and I have to say that it's the first one of the year, which sucks.
Wow.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, been a very slow start to the year with a lot of very challenging buyers, and not a lot of listings. But I have to say this is one of the harder homes I ever had to sell in a very what we would consider an easy market to sell. But it is a single family studio house.
Okay.
So first time I've ever sold a house without any bedrooms.
And John, we still have more than half the year left.
And by the way, that single family studio home was listed for $500,000. Like, I mean, that's just kind of, I mean, it's a condo alternative, which is really interesting, but it's a very, it's going to fit for a very niche market of buyers.
Okay. Look, good, great. So let this be the start of many more.
And I brought the buyer. So, I mean,
Okay.
clearly
That's two sides.
I navigated the scenario the best of my
Okay.
competition.
We've great, you know, just keep pushing forward. This is a business where it'll beat you to your knees if you allow it. You know, it's a bummer that this is the first one, but you could look at it that way, or you could say, "Wow, I did a deal." Two sides. Now your role is to go get 18 more,
Yeah.
at least, before now and the end of the year.
No, last year was the same way. I did pretty much a year's worth of business in the last quarter. And
Great.
it's just kind of the way it works sometimes.
And that's the beauty of this business. It really can be. Who else wants, needs, and brags? Nobody's got anything to brag about.
The
Any
studio single
graduations?
family home did it all.
Any graduations? Any overcoming illness? Any commissions? Any charities that you're involved in? Anything that happens at church or synagogue or mosque or something? Okay, well, I'm not going to beg. Oh, well, Tiffany raised her hand. Go ahead, Tiffany.
Hi, good morning. Sorry. Yes, my daughter graduated from high school and she got 4 Honor Society cords. I'm so proud of her.
Amazing. See,
Thank you.
that's what it's all about. I love it.
Right.
Yeah, you say anything about daughters or kids, you know, my kids are my everything, so that's really important.
Thank you.
Okay, so thank you so much for coming. We will see you next week at 9 a.m. If anybody wants to stick around and talk about AI, I'm here for the next 10 minutes or so. We could definitely go over that. So, thank you. Who's used something recently or who's got some AI questions that I could help you with?
I have a quick question, and
Okay.
I'm just a little bit more of a very a vague one. But if you ask AI to
Yeah.
help you build a landing page website, like
Hmm.
just for like, for example, I have a short-term rental in Vermont that's a ski house, and I use Vacasa, who's my manager, and I'm 100% reliant on their marketing and presence for the rentals. I was thinking of building my own landing page to kind of help, catch more potential renters. And obviously I would direct them through to Vacasa, to my listing, but just like just building like a little bit more of a branded landing page that's not just like me within hundreds of thousands of listings of Vacasa. Is that something that AI could help me do? And is that worth my while, do you think?
Sure. I think that you could build a landing page, but the devil's in the detail, and the devil's in where people are, A, how they're discovering the landing page. People have to think about that. And B, what the URL is of the landing page. I could build something on GitHub right now. In fact, I think I might do just that. Let's take a look here. If I go to thing here, Claude.
But like for example, I mean, I've been told that AI will build it, and I mean, I had to buy the URL, right? I mean, everyone has to own their own URL, but
Yeah.
like, who does the hosting, and how does
It,
AI
that
get
that's
this
the
page to be
that's the
live?
devil in the detail. So
Yeah.
so what you're asking is a database thing. If you want to capture certain information, anyone could put up the picture, but if you want to be able to capture the information, have some type of automations to send emails back out, I can make the pretty picture. In fact, I'm going to do it right now for you.
Hmm.
Let's build a landing page. Why don't you describe it to me?
All right. So it's a ski on, ski off condominium at Okemo Mountain
Spell it.
Resort, OKEMO.
Can you give us the link on Picasso?
Yeah, I could do that.
And Okemo Mountain.
Okemo Mountain Resort in Vermont.
Okay. And I'm going to stop this here for a second. Can you put it into the chat, the link?
Yeah, let me give me just 30 seconds to pull up.
Tiffany skis there.
Ah, there we go.
Okay. So while you're doing that, tell me a little bit more.
Actually, here,
Could I say your name?
Sure. I mean, I kind of keep it. I don't really use my name as. I don't know whether my name is helpful or not. I
Tell
mean,
me what you want to say. I need to move through this quickly, John.
well, I want to say that it's a lovely ski on ski off condo in a Okemo resort that just provides a wonderful stay for families of six or less people.
Okay. And
And
this is your home? You own it?
it's my home. I own
Okay.
it, and it's up to date. It's got bunk beds. It's got laundry. Um, and it's titled the Shred Shack, which is kind of like it's decorated in a kind of a hip homage to snowboarding history.
Um, um, put placeholders for a database to collect information from people wanting to stay there. It is John's home, and he will advertise it. Sorry. And wants to capture information, make it look traditionally like Vermont. Again, I'm flying blind here.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, I can send you the,
Yeah.
I'll
Do you have the
give you
link?
the listing. Yep, it's just need to copy and paste it now.
Anything?
Yep, just paste it in there right now.
Okay. Okay. So let me take that. And tell me again what the link is. This is just
So
to.
this is the link to my home that Vacasa, Vacasa basically manages the home, right? So they're the property manager, they're the marketer, they do everything. It's a A to Z kind of program, and this is how it's the listing for my home for short-term rental purposes.
Okay.
And I'm just trying to find out ways that I can enhance maybe views and therefore lead into more bookings.
Okay. So it's fetching the information. It's got the information from the place. Oh, it's a one bedroom?
Well, yeah, it's unfortunately it's a one bedroom on paper, but it actually has a bunk room. It doesn't qualify as a room, but it's got two bunk beds.
Okay. So it's reading the front end and it's going to design all of that. So
There are three beds in the
so
in the unit.
this is what it's pulling up from Pinterest, I guess, as inspiration or ideas, or they might use this as just the stock imagery as I suggested, right?
Yeah, I mean, eventually they probably would want to use the imagery that like is actually the on the unit, but
Yeah. Well, again, and all of that could be swapped out. Again, design today is easy. It's really easy. The thing that gets a little bit challenging is the functionality. So that's what Aton and I are constantly doing. That if you want someone who responds, um, that they put their name in and now they're getting an email or a text message on a regular basis, or they get queried about dates that are available, or you integrate with your calendar and it says where the dates are actually available. That's kind of important.
yeah, I mean, for example, for example, you just said, "Hey, give me the link to your listing." I had to go through my portal and pull the listing link there. Like if I just owned shredshackochemo.com and I just said, I mean, it's a lot very easy for me to give that word of mouth. That I think to me adds value, and then hopefully it's also easier for the consumer to share their experience because it's like, oh, I can't. Like, how many of us rent an Airbnb and like they have to go look back in their past rentals to find like where they stayed. If they just knew like peace of mind, like, oh, the Shred Shack at Okemo, like it's branded. And then that's the kind of that's like I think the reason for me wanting to do what I want to do
Sure.
is that it's easier to kind of like use word of mouth to attract people to funnel into eventually they need to funnel in through Vacasa because I still don't want to take up on answering a million questions and booking the things directly.
But do they limit you in the ability to market on other platforms?
I don't think so. I mean,
Can you do Airbnb?
They are using Airbnb. Like they are doing marketing on Airbnb. Like they
So
use
they
all the channels.
okay, so this is more than just this Vicasa.
So
Okay.
Vacasa is a publicly traded company. Like they're a big
So, so, John, just to show you like some of the things, I did this for my wife who's always cooking. She's always cooking off of Instagram, and I created her nickname is Skiwi, and I created Skiwi's recipe extractor. So you put in the recipe, and what will come up now? It's going to research the recipe. It's going to listen to all of this. I mean, this is something that to me has kind of a practical use of. Uh, for AI. It's going to make a printable card with the recipe on there. It's listening to the video, it's looking at the imagery, and is reading the copy. And in this, it's going to take, a couple minutes, but it will create the perfect thing. Now, here's your website. Okay. Do you see this?
mhm.
So Okemo Trailside, the home.
So it builds this, right? And
I
then
I
if
mean,
you
I
want to
just
bring
did it
this
with you on the
live,
phone here.
what?
This is John's own ground to floor condo, looked after with care, opened up to families who want real Vermont ski getaway. John, your host on the mountain. Comfort, Wi-Fi. I mean, again, if we took the time and put imagery and did different things, checking availability, this is taking you to some outside thing that doesn't really exist at this point. Request your
Mhm.
dates, that's going to be something else. View the home, that's going to be something else. The gallery
But
is still
so
going to.
how does one go from this status to actually having something that you can manipulate and fine tune and then go live on the internet?
Sure. Again, it takes a little bit of understanding where you want to go. And again, I'm showing you the basics here. One of the things that you could do is go to YouTube and watch videos on how to upload, um, uh, you know,
Code?
upload these websites and to be able to get this out there. One of the things I use is something called GitHub, which is owned by Microsoft, and that is kind of the back end.
I mean, the last website I did for myself was I went on to GoDaddy and I bought the URL and then I used like Website Tonight, which is probably dating myself because that's probably 10 years old. But like, that they gave you a template and you just populate all this stuff and you can curate it with the photos and things you want. And it was pretty, it made it very easy for the average person to be able to build a website because you're
Sure.
going through their template. But with AI, my question is like,
I mean, in other words, there's no short answer for it right now. I could show you how to build it, which I just did.
yeah,
You just
no, you
saw
did
it,
it in like 30 seconds. I
and
mean,
we
it's
did it
amazing.
very quickly. It's not ready for prime time. I mean, you need to
Yeah.
read. But remember when I always say 80 to 90% of the work is done for you, but you need to actually do the 10 to 20%. You're most of the way there. But from there, you need to then sit down with a pen and paper and say, what are the features that you would like? Would you like a Calendly-like thing to book it? Would you like an availability checker? Would you like the weather forecast? What's going on in Vermont right now? Sometimes people like that type of thing. Would you like a streaming of the different news that's going on here? In the case of my wife, I'm kind of proud of this because, here I looked up lasagna. Mom knew best, okay? And it's classic cheesy lasagna. It took the recipe online and it gave us all the things that we're going to need, including, well, these photographs that, it needs to be a little bit done, but it gives you how it works, and we
The
could either
nuts and
save it as
bolts,
an image.
basic.
Yeah, we could either save it as an image, which I just
Hey,
did.
hey Ed, this is Dirk
Or
in Denver. Can I jump in real fast?
sure. You see what I just
Um,
saved it as an image here? Go ahead, Dirk.
John, one thing I might tell you to do is jump on Chat or Claude and have it actually run an analysis on your local market there. Pull a report on air DNA, add that to the AI search, throw all your pictures in there, and you might have Chat or one of those start to actually polish some of the branding. And let's call skiing what it is anymore. It's a luxury sport. So you might change your whole listing dynamic geared towards who your target audience is.
Sure.
Actually start throwing in some of your potential clientele into this pictures, because what I'm looking at is that your listing as a whole is kind of a drab look to
Yeah,
it.
it's
So
nothing
if
special.
no, so if you start selling a little more luxury and start showing people more of what they want on their vacation, I think you could utilize AI to really help give a much better vision that you can hand off to your manager as well, saying, let's pick this up, let's sell a whole different avenue here, of the direction that we're going right now, where it's just sitting there. And then I think where Ed is going with this, then you can start bringing in AI to say, where's the tools that I need to attract my target audience, and you could reverse create it then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just have a clear picture in your head. And when you do, the AI takes over, that you're able to literally say step by step by step. And if you want to take the time to learn about things like Supabase and Vercel and the different connectivity, then that's fine. If not, call us and we'll make it for you. I mean, but right
Yeah,
here, I
I
want to
just think that
also.
like a landing page that could have some interesting, I have more control over the content, I guess, to Dirk's point. that still funnels it through the channels of like reservations with the Vacasa. Like I don't want to become my own manager is I guess when
I got it. Well, most
I'm not
most of us
quite ready
don't.
to do that. I mean, I only pay 25% of total rents, right? So it's not like a huge fee, and they
Mhm.
handle all the cleaning, all the everything. So it's
25% sounds like a lot. I don't know. Okay. I mean,
25% to have, I don't know, I guess,
when you have property taxes and everything else, but let's move on. I just
yeah.
want to get to this. Is Delaney still here? I'm just going to mention it a couple times. I'm very proud of her. You know, she knows that I wrote my book, Prompt to Close, available right now for 19.95 on Amazon. In any case, she wrote a book as well, which I'm very proud of, that she wrote, Letting Go of the House, How to Sell a Parent's Home Without Losing Your Mind. And it's now available on Amazon. She's together, she's a coaching client. We're working on this and we're working on her landing page as well as her subsequent material that goes along with any good book today has that. It was released a week ago. She got a listing appointment from it. She got a listing appointment from it. Content is king, guys. So I throw that out to you. If you want to find something interesting, rip it off and duplicate it. You know, if you are in Florida or if Dirk is in Denver, this thing has, you might as well do, if it's working in Florida, it'll work in Denver. If it's working somewhere, it's not the only thing that you could do, but I keep begging all of you to come up with something that's going to be a real differentiator between what you're doing and what the competition is doing. Delaney, she talks about her dad. He had a couple of strokes. The second one really made him completely disabled. And even though he didn't pass away at 26, she had power of attorney and had to make some very grown-up decisions. Now, to me, I was 26 and I was smoking pot every day, and I couldn't imagine making those decisions. I've got a 26-year-old daughter who would be much better, but not that much better at doing this. She was thrust into real responsibility for a parent at an age that's very challenging for a lot of kids. And she learned by fire how difficult it was. She puts that into her book. She puts that in as a realtor. You know, death is a part of our business, whether you like it or not. Illness is a part of our business. Financial ruin, divorce, moving, whatever it is a part of our business. And what she did was she embraced it, wrote a book on it, and whether it sells or not is not the big deal. You know, I've sold 100 copies of my book so far. It's not going to be something I'm going to retire on, at least not yet. What it is, though, is the world's greatest business card. A, the content is good. I hope you like it. If you do download it, I've worked pretty hard on it. But B, it really is the world's greatest business card. I beg of you, consider getting deeper down the rabbit hole of content. And with that said, it is now 10:13. If any of you are curious about the coaching program, I'd be keen to speak with you about it. Please do give me a buzz. I'm actually going to put my number here. You could call me. I mean, again, Bogen.ai. You could take a look and get me at anywhere. I never shut the hell up, so it's pretty easy to find me. And I'm grateful that everyone came, and I hope all of you come back on Wednesday, 9 a.m. to talk about Instagram Reels. We're going to get a little bit more techie. Hopefully, I feel a little bit better. I feel as though I'm not at my peak performance today, and I apologize for that. But I look forward to coming back, roaring back at 58 years old next week. And I'm thanking all of you for coming today. Thank you so much.
Feel better, Evan.
Thanks, guys. Take
Thank
care.
you, Ed.
Thank you, Aton.